September 22nd on the WB Wednesday, a new season takes flight. Reunited by fate.
Something happened, didn't it?
Do you believe in destiny?
In a place where life will never be the same.
Who are you?
Lois Lane.
Smallville season premiere, September 22nd on the WB Wednesday.
Pete, this is awesome.
Oh, Clark, hey. Good to see you among the living, man. Check it out. It's the latest talent mix.
Thanks, Pete.
Good to see you all among the living. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Talent Mix. It's a Smallville recap podcast that doesn't give a shit if you've actually seen an episode of Smallville. Hello, I'm Brian, here as always with my pal Zach. Zach, what's going on, man?
Man, I'm enjoying that promo you just showed.
What was that song?
I don't know, but it didn't fit the vibe.
No.
I don't think at all.
I think I think mostly what I was going for there was, of course, our listeners couldn't hear or couldn't see the imagery, which was mostly just smoldering teens.
I do think, and we'll probably get more into this when we do the episode, I do think this, just after watching the premiere, it does seem like they were trying to do a little bit of a reset. Tone.
You mean like Smallville always does?
Right. Yeah. My guess, and this is not from research or any like actual factual knowledge, but my guess is that season 3 leaned a little bit too much into the grown-up stuff.
Yeah.
And this season, maybe the WB was like, "Hey, can we have more half-naked teens?
Can we have more teens with doing googly eyes on the teen show?"
Exactly. Yeah.
Please.
I mean, just to get a little spoiler for the recap, I think a total of 3 main characters were shirtless in this. Actually, 4 main characters were shirtless in this episode, and they all look fucking fantastic.
Everyone was ready for that.
Yeah, they were told.
I should also, in order of business real fast, Cam Godfrey, who's been on the show many times, will be joining us for season 4 as a guest host. We're still working out exactly what that means. She is not here tonight, but you know what? Jensen Ackles isn't in this episode that much, so
right. Yeah, that's exactly. She's like our lowest drop on this. Like,
yes, yeah.
She's the big reveal. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sure she'll be in most episodes this season. You and I already, I mean, if people don't know this, already like almost don't record every single week. Like we're,
right,
we're flying by the seat of our pants with 2 people, with having to coordinate 2 people. Because also, I don't know if the audience knows this or not, we don't get paid to do this.
I'm sure they guessed.
Oh man, yeah.
I think they would be concerned if we did. Oh, anyone really can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
But excited to finally get Cam in here and get Cam's view of an entire season of Smallville rather than just random snippets of a show she has not watched much of.
No, and I don't expect it will make much more sense to her if she watches a full season.
But Jensen Ackles is here.
Yes. Charming the pants off of everyone in sight.
But we'll get into season 4 of Smallville. I'm looking at a promo image. Speaking of, you mentioned half-naked teens, half-naked adult teens. Let's be clear.
Right? Yes. Sorry, don't. Yeah, half-naked teens is a rough buzzword for the.
For fully 25 to 30-year-olds.
Yeah, 25 half-naked 25 to 30-year-olds playing teens, marketed towards teens. That's what we're.
Right. But there's on the wiki here, they have a what appears to be a promotional poster, kind of thing you maybe would have seen in a comic book, loaded up with ads. And it is it's Tommy who appears to be in flight
What-
with his shirt 3/4 of the way open.
Yeah, it's a black shirt. He looks like a magician. He looks like an illusionist. Like
He does look
the
like a
great
David Blaine
Tom Welling.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
He looks great.
Yeah.
It's also there's a wispy fog on the ground in what appears to be a field, a tilled field of some kind.
Mhm.
And Erica Durance's Lois Lane, just standing there. And the tagline on this poster is just, "It was only a matter of time until ... Lois."
That's pretty rough.
It's
That line. That line.
I would have
pretty rough.
workshopped a couple of these.
Literally, just I mean, Lois is here would be better than that.
Yeah, right.
It was only a matter of time. Sounds like it's like a derisive, like, oh yeah, we're doing Lois. We are officially out of the non-Lois ideas.
Yeah, it was just like it was time. We're on year 4 of this. Man, it's crazy.
Season 3's ratings were down so low.
It's crazy though when you think about it. Of like, obviously we're watching this on fast speed, week to week, and the mix of, we're getting older and time does move faster. But if you started watching Smallville, when you were a freshman in high school, you're a senior in high school now, and it doesn't seem insane that, oh, now Lois Lane is fine. That's restraint.
Right, for sure. Yeah, I mean, today she would have been in halfway through season 1. Like it would have been
right.
No, the network would have been like, Lois needs to be in the pilot. She doesn't have to be a huge character. She's Chloe. Lois is Chloe.
Right. But Lois does make her appearance in her first appearance in the episode that we're talking about today, and she's great.
Yeah.
She's great.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Better than the season 3 premiere, definitely.
Yes, I liked this episode overall, even if it felt like there wasn't that much going on.
It's definitely another, like, we're trying to pick up the pieces. All of our characters are scattered. We're trying to, it's another. I'm not a huge fan of 2-part season premieres.
Yeah,
the feeling of like, I remember the feeling of like, oh, I've waited all summer, and then whatever the premiere, whatever show it is, it's like, oh, we still haven't answered all the questions.
Right. It's
you still have to wait a little longer.
We're just kind of putting all the pieces together.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that in a little bit. Zach, you watch anything this week?
It was a very light viewing week for me. I did watch Nightmare.
We're also recording earlier this week because Thanksgiving is this. So this is the day after Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving if you are an American and celebrate that.
Brian, how was it?
I think it's gonna be good. I think it was good. I'm going to normally we go to my in-laws. This year we're going to my parents because Thanksgiving coincides with my dad's 60th birthday. So we're having a big party for him the next day.
Are you going to have to drive through snow to get there?
I'll be taking the train.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But no, I mean, we have no snow in the city. So I actually don't know what the situation is in Connecticut. But God, what was I going to say? I'm going to be there. So we're leaving tomorrow, Tuesday, which is when we normally record. And we're going for 5 days. 5 days at my parents' is a lot of days. I enjoy being at my parents', but I have hit that like 72 hours is the maximum.
Right. Yes. Or you need to like be sleeping somewhere else and just like little breaks.
Yeah, it's there. I love my parents and I love hanging out and I love going to my parents. And the first day is great when you get there and everyone's like, hey, let's get pizzas and like, that's always a fun day. The next day is always fun. Day 3 is when I got to get out of this fucking house. I got to get out of this fucking house now.
Is it just you or your brother's going to be there?
One of my brothers will be there. And then there will be some aunts and uncles, and I believe some more people are coming up for my dad's birthday. So there will be some stuff to break up. My in-laws are also coming though. So it's going to be a real lot because it's also
Right.
my wife's 30th birthday.
This is a sitcom episode, and it's great.
It's going to be a lot.
Love it.
It's going to be a whole lot. So how was it? I don't know.
If it was a real sitcom episode, I would show up halfway through for some reason.
Right.
Like, surprise!
Zach!
Right in a moment to break the tension.
Yes. Were you able to watch anything this week?
I only
think I
watched
interrupted
one thing. I watched Nightmare on Elm Street 3.
Okay, the Dream Warriors.
Yes, the Dream War. Have you seen it?
No,
Oh, you just know.
but I
the
love that title.
Yeah. It was good. It was fine.
How would you rank them? How would you rank the 3 films?
I mean, I would probably go 1, 2, 3, but it's
Got
not
it.
a huge drop off.
Got it.
I think from what I've read, after 3 is when we get the huge drop off.
That seems to be about the
Yeah, that's about as many good ones as you can make until you do the
Right.
reboot. It does have a good concept, which is it did this before Inception. It does like shared dreams. So in this one of the characters, played by Patricia Arquette, can bring other people into her dreams.
Got it. I think I did know that was the premise.
That's an interesting conceit, and I don't think they use it to the fullest of that the fullest of its potential.
Sure.
But it's fun. It's some great like 80s practical effects, and
is this where we fully see Freddy Krueger kind of change into more jokey villain?
I don't think it was a huge leap from the last one in terms of jokiness. So I think that's probably more to come. But there are a couple lines that are definitely like, okay, come on now. What are we doing?
Three is where we get into Welcome to Primetime, bitch, right?
That's the line I was thinking of. Yes. Yes. So you know the lines.
I know. I feel like I've only seen, I believe, at least in their entireties, I've only seen A Nightmare on Elm Street and Freddy vs. Jason. I believe that's it. I've seen bits and like caught through, but I couldn't tell you what's from what.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going to continue going in order, or if I'm just going to go from 3 to New Nightmare, because it's the only other one that gets any good notices.
I mean, if you're in this deep.
Yeah, but there's like 4 before New Nightmare, and if they're not good, that's more movies than good movies I've watched.
I think I think you gotta power through. I think you gotta get all the way through the Jackie Earle Haley reboot one.
I've seen that one.
Did you?
Back when it first came out, I was working at Blockbuster Video. My second stint at Blockbuster Video. Shortly after we got done with school. And
Got it.
I had free rentals, so that's why I watched it. Yeah, on DVD.
Man, I never worked at a Blockbuster, but God, I wish that I did.
I mean, you worked at a movie theater.
I did work in a movie theater, which yeah, similar-ish.
I think Blockbuster's a little more enjoyable, probably because you get to have the discussion with the people.
Right.
Like it's hopping on a Friday night, and people are like, "What's good, man? Tell me about movies." And then you start, I don't know, hitting it off with random strangers about movies and stuff. It's fun.
Right.
Which is gone now, forever. It's gone. That'll never happen.
It was, we had, in my hometown, I hope I haven't told this story before. In my hometown, there were 2 locations. It was Mad Mike's Video. And the guy lived in my neighborhood, and I wanted to work at Mad Mike's so fucking bad, and it was the only time my father has ever put his foot down like this, of like, absolutely fucking not.
Why
it
that?
had okay, so Mad Mike was Mad fucking Mike.
Okay.
The porn section, so video stores that weren't Blockbuster famously had porn sections. The porn section of Mad Mike's was the bigger part of the store. There was a significantly larger adult section than movie section. I remember I knew kids who worked there, and he would apparently ask for quote unquote ninja checks. It was part of the close-up routine, and no one to this day, I do not believe Mr. Mad Mike is with us any longer, but no one to this day, I think, knows whether this was a joke or but you were supposed to lift up the what's the word for the panels of the ceiling to make sure no one was up there or hiding up there.
That's great. That's got to be a joke. That's fucking hilarious.
I do know it was multiple teenagers I know who worked there. That was part of their closing routine.
Ninja checks. He's just making sure no one was there to rip off all stuff, like hiding.
I guess
Oh my god, that's amazing.
That's amazing. But
so was the porn section. I mean, we've covered this part before of just the indignity of the old days of having to purchase porn. I'm so glad I didn't really hit that era. I mean, you and I both were just in time for the internet
to just take care of that. Which there's a double-edged sword to that, right? I think
it's a huge fucking double-edged sword. Yeah, of
course. It's okay. So now you don't have to go into a public place, walk, and then hand a pornographic videotape to a teenager and just be like, I'd like to give you $5 so that I can have this for a little while.
Yeah, but now you don't have to explain yourself to anyone, and that is a scary people can look at whatever and not have to face anyone. And
then you think about it with kids too, of the front page Pornhub. What the fuck?
Oh man. I mean, I didn't have that stuff because we've talked about this before, but the worst I had until I was an adult was a Maxim magazine or something.
Yeah.
But I used to have to fucking buy those at the grocery store, and I was so embarrassed. So embarrassed. I even had my friends buy them for me sometimes. So I was like, I can't do
it. Were you a embarrassed to buy condoms guy?
No.
I would feel until I finally got, I'm having sex.
Well, I think for me, I wasn't buying them until I was much older. So I was it had self-checkouts, you know what I'm saying?
Sure. What did I watch this week? I watched on Netflix. I believe it just came out, but the new Netflix Lindsay Lohan vehicle, Falling for Christmas.
I watched the first 15 minutes of that with someone. They were like, "Let's watch."
I was at a big party. Yeah.
Yeah, we were playing a board game, so we put it on, and then even then, she was like, "No, we can't. I can't."
It's amazing how obviously this movie's not a real movie.
No, it's a Lifetime movie. It's a Hallmark movie.
It's a Lifetime Hallmark Christmas movie, but it is funny how the Netflix film logo flattens that playing field of Glass Onion is a Netflix film,
right?
The Knives Out sequel, as is Falling for Christmas.
I love how it was framed in the media of Lindsay Lohan's big comeback. I'm like,
yeah,
it's a Hallmark movie.
And it's so funny of dunking on it too hard feels silly of it's a Hallmark Christmas movie style thing.
Right.
It is funny, and we watch a lot of crap. This friend group, this party I was at, we had a little Friendsgiving thing, and we don't watch real movies together because those you have to sit and watch. We just want to throw something on and riff,
and you don't want to ruin the real movie.
Right. So we watch crap, and we were very excited for this one. We had a great time with it, but somehow, with the amount of crap I watch, every time I'm like surprised by how not good they are. Like I'm still somehow folding my arms. Like I still thought this was gonna be better.
It's really funny with this one, and maybe it's the next Netflix thing you're talking about, where this was reviewed as if it was a real movie.
And
it's on Rotten
like,
Tomatoes, I don't think most Hallmark movies are probably like, maybe they have 3 reviews or something. But...
Right. And it's like, they're kind of positive.
Right. It's definitely a lowered expectations kind of, she's doing okay.
Right. It was like, no, weird. I'd say I enjoyed it within the context of which I watched it, which was at a party, a couple glasses of wine deep. Like,
based on the 15 minutes I watched, I definitely don't think the people who it's intended for will be disappointed by what they're watching.
I would agree with that.
And that's not an insult to the people it's intended for.
No,
I watched Nightmare on Elm Street 3 in November. So,
I watched this today just out of curiosity. Superman, Man of Tomorrow, the 2020 animated film, direct to video. I watched this on HBO Max, and I have so these DC animated movies, they kind of like pump these out. They've been pumping them out pretty regularly since 2007?
Something like that, yeah.
And it's a couple of releases a year, and they are I would get them in 2007 when it was like comic book things.
Yeah,
I would buy the DVDs on release date, and it was kind of exciting to get these things. And then I've fallen off of them for over a decade, and every time I kind of revisit them again, it's a little who are these for exactly?
Right, they do seem to be intended for adults.
They're usually rated PG-13.
Right.
They usually have some blood, and a character says shit sometimes. But the storytelling isn't any more mature than a cartoon yet.
Right. It's
and not even
a weird middle ground.
Right. It's for a 13-year-old to think is mature because they say shit and there's some blood.
Did you watch the Killing Joke animated movie?
I think I maybe did a little bit of it, and then I've started a lot of these out of curiosity, and then I turned them off.
I thought that one was pretty rough.
I think I remember that one being the reception of that.
They also added I think it was controversial, a plot line where Batman and Batgirl sleep together.
Right. I remember that scene going around.
That's not what this was missing.
That was Bruce Timm too, and everyone was a little like, Bruce.
Yeah, buddy. I liked the Batman Year One they did. I thought that was good, and I liked the Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah, I remember those being okay.
Yeah.
They also a couple of years ago they did Batman versus Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I have. What's that?
It said right up your alley. Hell yeah.
Should be right up my alley. I've tried to watch it 2 times and I've turned it off.
Wow.
It's that should be extreme. The comics that it's based on are great. Really, really good. Highly recommend those. The movie, it's nothing. It's just kind of like I was talking about of it's got all this adult stuff and the Ninja Turtles are swearing, but it's still very 84-minute rushed, nothing story. Nothing interesting is happening visually. It's a lot of celebrity voice. So there used to be a thing called voice actors. And they took their craft seriously and gave a lot of their performance in their voice. Now, especially in these movies, you have celebrities of varying kind of tier lists who show up for a day in their pajamas, read their lines, and then go home.
That is such a good point, that voice acting is an art form different from regular acting.
Yes.
Just because you're good at one doesn't mean you'll be good at the other. Like a movie I love, we've talked about, Solo. One of the things I didn't like about that movie is, I don't know if you remember, Jon Favreau plays like a CGI alien.
I don't remember that.
Voice. He's like a pilot who works with Woody Harrelson's gang towards the beginning of the movie.
Sure.
But his voice performance seemed so disconnected to the reality of the CGI character they were creating.
Sure.
Being like, voice acting is a art, and he's not doing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah. Bring back the voice actor. I understand you have to do anything you can to like sell a movie, and a name on it helps. Kind of like, and I think for these, like, once again, these kind of this weird dichotomy, this double edge that these DC animated movies exist in, where they want to kind of like a 13-year-old boy to think it's a legitimate movie. I think having a couple named actors in there helps. That said, Superman Man of Tomorrow is guilty of all of these things. It's a sort of a 2020 origin story for Superman. A kind of Clark Kent moves to Metropolis, is kind of, finding out it's a redo of the same thing we've done before, but updated. So it's guilty of all of those things. That said, it wasn't half bad. I watched the whole thing.
Right. Oh, you watched the whole thing. That's a good sign.
Yeah. I'm not saying like, give me more of these. I'm not saying it's great, but it was like, nah, I was looking for some modest entertainment. I was modestly amused by it.
Cool.
Even though it is, like I said, guilty of everything I talked about before.
I have thought of watching, when I'm on HBO Max, a lot of times I think about watching one of those DC animated, but I don't know where to start, because it's like, I'm sure some of them are good and some of them are not. I don't know.
Right. If you want a pretty good Superman movie, this was a pretty okay Superman movie. I would recommend just going back to Superman the Animated Series.
Right. I've never watched that. Although I've never really watched Superman the Animated Series.
It's great. Every episode just feels like picking up a random Superman comic book and just pick an episode out of a hat.
Yeah.
Yes, just pick an episode out of a hat. It's probably a pretty good little whiz bang Superman story. But speaking of Superman stories, should we take a break and then jump into Smallville?
Yes, we should.
All right, we are back. This week we watched Crusade. Zach, it's the first episode of the 4th season of Smallville, the 67th episode overall. It aired September 22nd, 2004. We are well more than halfway to 100. That's crazy.
That is crazy. But if you think about the fact that we've got more than 200 total episodes to do, we still got a ways to go.
I more mean episodes of our podcast.
Oh yeah.
30 of which are available on a feed. We got there though. We got there.
Yeah, we did the episodes. Just because people can't hear them doesn't mean they don't exist.
This aired September 22nd, 2004. And I, of course, know all this because I'm reading directly from smallville.fandom.com. A young brunette woman is watching a video diary made by Chloe Sullivan. In the video, Chloe states that something must have happened to her and says that Clark is the only one that can learn the truth of her death. The young woman later drives to the Kent farm, but got lost among the country roads. A lightning struck nearby. Lightning strikes nearby, and her car veers off the road into a cornfield. Suddenly, a ball of light falls from the sky, and a hole in the shape of a pentagon is burned into the corn. In the middle lies a naked Clark Kent, who claims to not know who he is. She offers to take him to the hospital, but he instead asks her name. She introduces herself as Lois Lane. Lois is here. Erica Durance.
Yeah, welcome aboard, Lois. Okay, few things.
This, I assume, was a big deal. I knew she was coming.
Yes. I think everyone knew that, like, people who paid attention. It was in the promo. It was like Lois is coming. Like
Right.
this was like a shot in the arm to the show. I mean,
Right.
I think the first few scenes they have together, Lois and Clark isn't really Clark, but the first scene at the end of the episode when he is Clark and they have a scene together, I think it's apparent right away that they have a great little dynamic there.
It's I don't remember being that like floored by her when I watched this for the first time, and it was funny. At least I don't remember being that way. It's funny watching this time of like, oh, she is, you know, to use your phrase, the shot in the arm. Maybe this show needs a little bit.
Right?
Like,
Yeah, she's spunky. We needed someone spunky. Yeah.
It's you know, immediately from her scene, like, ooh, I like this. I like what's happening here now.
And you know, as hinted at in that final scene, we get tension. We get someone who's not crazy about Clark, who who isn't so charmed by his nonsense.
Yes,
it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
It's also worth noting Clark is butt naked.
Yeah, I was gonna say he appears like the Terminator.
Right.
We ended last season. The finale of season 3 opened with a naked young woman, and this season premiere opens with a naked young man, Clark.
There you go.
Tom Welling,
equal opportunity nakedness.
Both Tom Welling and his body double really worked out for this. They're both in great shape. I'm really disappointed that the car got struck by lightning and it still was not a car crash.
Yeah.
Because it gets struck by lightning. She drives off-road through a cornfield. We were so close to getting a crash, Brian.
That would have been a great omen to start the season.
Yeah. Although we
got Lois instead.
We did get memory loss.
Okay. All right. I guess that does count. Yep. Yeah, fuck. No reason. Does being reborn count as head trauma?
He says, I don't know who I am. He doesn't know who he is.
There we go. There we go.
I think that counts.
I would agree that counts.
Excellent. I forgot. Oh, we're on a whole new season. Here we go already. Memory loss.
Oh right. The counts reset.
Yes.
Is Clark given the blanket here, or do we not find that until later?
She says she has a blanket in the car, but I think that's the next. I have that written down too, though. It's basically the same blanket he was wrapped in when he came in as a baby, right?
It is a red blanket. We'll see it in the next scene, draped over his shoulders as if, see, because he's gonna be Superman at some point. But I
thought it was more of a callback to what he looked like when in the pilot.
Oh, funny! I went entirely cape. My head is entirely cape.
Well, no, but that's what it was.
Oh, sure.
In the pilot was he was baby Clark and they wrapped him in a red blanket, and now they're calling back to that. I think it's maybe it's both.
Maybe it's both. I mean, either way, it's certainly like Superman.
Right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Lois and the amnesiac Clark arrive at the Smallville Medical Center, where he's going to get the best medical attention.
Yeah,
Lois is new in town.
The scene opens with Lois like talking to the guy at the front desk, and she's like trying to leave Clark there. She's like, I found this guy. Then the guy in the front desk. This is insane. Yeah, the guy at the front desk is like, you can't leave him here. You have to stay until,
I believe it says, what, you think this is like the Pound or a place to drop straight animals?
Yeah. Like, no, I think it's a fucking emergency room.
And then it's like hot. Yeah. And then Lois is like, I did the Good Samaritan thing. Okay. Later it's like, no, you have to stay. Hospital policy.
Right. Yeah. Is that how it works in real life, or is this just Smallville medical?
Like, are you going to arrest me, doctor? Or sorry, nurse? Then later.
Yeah, we will not treat this
gotta go
amnesiac. If you leave, we're just gonna let him wander.
Then if it was in the situation of like, you can do what you want with him. I don't know what that means for your Hippocratic oath or whatever, but like, I'm gonna go. Peace out later.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I wanted to talk about in those opening credits. Jensen Ackles, 4th build over Chloe, build over Allison Mack.
Wow,
It goes
big day.
It goes Clark. I think Clark. It goes Clark. Probably Lana or Lex, and then Jensen Ackles.
Jensen Ackles is only main cast this season.
Yes. Well, the next season is Supernatural starts.
Right. Do you think they intended him to stay longer?
Yeah,
it's weird.
My gut tells me yes, and then he did the Supernatural pilot and was like, I want to go do Supernatural.
Right. I also believe Jensen Ackles was like high up there for Clark.
Yes.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Which that's pretty funny.
I mean, he's got charisma. As soon as he pops up in this episode, he's got charisma right off the bat.
Definitely. Let's see. Smallville Medical Center, but the orderly says she has to stay with him until he can be identified. Lois decides to stay and keep an eye on him so he doesn't wander around the waiting room naked. That's right. Naked Tom Welling. You got a good shot of his back. Either Tom Welling or his body double. Either way, looking good.
Yeah, looking real good. Tom Welling is definitely looks a little trimmer this season. Still very muscular, but looks a little trimmer. I know he definitely did some work in the off season.
Yeah.
He like gets more and more ripped until a certain point in the show, and then it kind of like levels out.
There was a Tom Welling tells a story in one of his interviews, or it might have been on a podcast. But Tom Welling came back from a break or from a season where, it's 8 months in Vancouver, and then he's got a handful of months to himself where he can actually, enjoy being a young 20-something with money to spend probably for the first time in his life. But somebody, a producer at the show, had to pull him aside and just be like, hey, gonna have to get that body back in Superman shape. Hey, Tommy boy.
You're playing Superman. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. Before I forget, I watched this episode on my season 4 DVD. This is the first of the DVDs, season DVDs, that has a trailer for something else when you put the DVD in.
What? Let me guess. Fuck. What year would that DVD? That DVD would have been in 2005, right? It's not Batman Begins.
It's Batman Begins. Brian,
oh, baby.
But Brian, it's like the Batman Begins DVD trailer that they made for the Smallville DVD. So it's got like some Smallville alt rock music.
Oh, baby.
If you watch, I got to find this. If you watch this trailer, this like 30-second commercial, Christopher Nolan would be rolling around in his grave once he dies. It
would kill Christopher
It would kill
Nolan,
him, and then he would roll in his grave. Yeah, it is so not the tone of Batman Begins at all. And thinking of like where they went with that series and how it became such a self-serious kind of marketing, and it's hilarious. It's basically marketed like Daredevil or something.
Oh, I'm gonna need to find that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna need to see that. Okay, in Paris, which boy is just Vancouver.
Well, just Vancouver with a CGI Eiffel Tower in the background.
I missed that.
Oh yeah, no, they did that. They did an establishing shot with the Eiffel Tower, and there's a bunch of French writing, even more than normal Vancouver. So,
it's that is Gastown in Vancouver.
Yep.
I walked through there a handful of times. And it's just Vancouver, but the streets are brick.
Yeah.
Lana is taking...
anyone watching the show is like, oh, they went to Paris for this. All right. Cool.
Somebody, maybe not actively thinking it, but somebody you could be like, that's not Paris, and they'd be like, what? Oh, I guess it's not.
I definitely, as a kid, thought Seinfeld was in New York. You know what I mean? Like,
sure. Right. I
had no idea.
I'm with you. Okay, so Lana is taking photographs on the street when she bumps into a young man who asks her opinion on a gift to celebrate the 2-month anniversary of meeting his girlfriend. After a bit of banter, it is revealed that the man is her new boyfriend, Jason Teague.
Clever
Uh,
way to get out some exposition of like,
and you know what? It works. It's two charming people being charming at each other, and it works. Lana, stick with this boy.
right.
This is better for you, Lana.
It's amazing, this episode. I'm already like, Lana, stick with him. Clark, Lois. This is perfect.
Right.
You two are a toxic relationship. What is it called? A codependent,
yes,
toxic relationship. Just you're better with these other people.
It is. I don't remember Jason Teague's full storyline in Smallville. I really don't remember it. Aside from the fact that he'll be gone in a season. But I do remember, like, it is a fun drama thing to like put the main love interest, with a guy who hasn't done anything wrong,
right? Know? Who we like.
Whitney was a bully, you know.
Right, exactly. No, this is like someone we can root for, and I wonder if the intention was to move away from Clark, Lana, or if it was always the plan to go back to that.
I assume on some level they want to reset a little bit and to give, because man, we talked about it last week, but like the Clark Lana stuff was like missing some tension.
It was just getting repetitive.
Right. We need some conflict here. We need some real conflict here.
Right, yeah.
And having Lana date a nice guy is some good conflict.
Right, and also, it's like you can watch storylines with Lana and the nice guy. It doesn't even have to have Clark involved.
Right.
Whereas we weren't really invested in Lana Whitney stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. But the oldest man alive?
Yeah.
Martha Kent is reading to an unconscious Jonathan Kent when Dr. Hardin informs her that she needs to think about the future and that Jonathan is brain dead. Martha declares that she will not give up on him, and you can see in the nurse's face, oh God, here she goes.
There is a lot of exposition in this episode. I know it's a premiere. They're catching people up, but the doctor says, like, is explaining to Martha, like, she doesn't know what the fuck's going. Like, it's been 3 months. Your insurance is almost maxed out. Thanks. That is the situation.
That is. Who are you talking to me? Is someone listening? Did someone need all of that information? Elsewhere in the hospital, Lois starts talking to Clark about why she's in Smallville, but Clark is apathetic and keeps trying to leave. Clark wanders into the hallway and is seen by Martha, who is overjoyed to find him, but Clark doesn't recognize her. Clark tells her he is waiting for the sign. She says that she can help him find the sign, but he must go with her immediately.
Wiki's skipping over a couple things.
Hit me.
So there's a great moment where Clark and Lois are in like a exam room waiting for the doctor. She says it's been 45 minutes. It's Smallville Medical. You're probably waiting for 3 days.
Yeah.
And Clark,
they've forgotten about you.
Yeah, they have no intention of treating you. Clark is attempting to leave, and Lois goes to stand in his way and block the doorway. And Clark just grabs her shoulders and lifts her into the air and then sets her down. And then when Clark leaves, Lois has this look of like, what the fuck? But then it changes to like kind of turned on, intrigued by him just lifting her up like that. Like, right. It's a great little moment that she plays. Like, huh, that was fun. That was a fun little ride.
Yeah. Was that it?
So, and then, Mama Kay sees Clark and is like, hey, Clark, I'm your mom. And Clark has no memory. And she's like, okay, I'll take it from here. And she just takes Clark and leaves. And the guy in the hospital is like, okay, fine. Whatever. Smallville Medical doesn't give a fuck.
Do I work
going on
here?
Oh, yeah, that's Martha Kay. Also, Brian, the long-term like lodging for coma patients is apparently in the same part of the building as the emergency room.
Yep. I don't see a problem.
I know it's supposed to be a small town medical, but I've seen the building from the outside. It's a decent size.
Right.
It should be a whole different part of the hospital.
That's where it should be. But nope. Not a Smallville. In Smallville Medical, they just roll a die and that determines what room is what room. The operating theater is right next to where the infants are kept.
Yeah. Oh, you're waiting in the bathroom. That's where we're gonna do your exam.
This is just how we do things here. Lois finds out that it is Clark, but he has already left. Lex Luthor is in Egypt, where he obtains an ancient statue artifact. He pays a large sum of money to erase all evidence of him visiting Egypt before leaving. I don't know if you had this reaction of like an establishing shot in Egypt. I don't know if you were like me and just went, oh no. Smallville.
Be careful.
It's ultimately fine, but it's a little like what's about to happen.
That when we see Lex, he's wearing the white suit.
Right.
Do you think fanboys shot their wad at that too?
I certainly probably did.
Yeah, that's a Lex Luthor thing, right? The white suit,
right?
And yeah,
right.
Okay, yeah, he looks damn good in it. I'll tell you that right now.
Looks great.
Do you think the reason that the season 3 premiere felt kind of low rent, or finale felt kind of low rent as far as finales go, is because they were saving all their money for this premiere? Because this is a expensive looking episode.
It is expensive looking, but like, no, certainly this is a new budget.
Oh,
you know, it's like the budget doesn't carry over. It's not like, unless it was like, hey, it's like pocket that away, and then we'll, Lex boards his airplane, and Dr. Vaughn reminds him that he survived a massive poisoning that would have killed most people. It is also revealed that Lex must have his blood purified every 72 hours or his organs will shut down.
So this when he's in the plane talking to the doctor, he has his shirt off. Lex, or Rosenbaum, also really good shape. Really
put the work in.
I mean, I'm telling you, this has to be the WB. Like, get us more shirtless people. Like,
yes.
Let's go. Come
more
on.
Shirtless boys.
And girls later in the episode.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, Brian, I could be wrong. I'm pretty sure after these first 2 episodes, we never hear about Lex's medical condition again in the show.
I definitely don't remember this story.
Like, they set it up. They're like, oh, this is a device. He has to get his blood cleansed every X amount of hours. And I'm like, okay, that's a reoccurring thing. That could be an interesting plot device. Nope. Never again.
Yeah.
It's just this one moment.
I have to wonder, like, how many times that happens just in television where, like, you put this piece down and then it doesn't come up in the next episode or the next one. And by that point, you're just like, oh, right. Just forget it. We could write it out or just forget about it. It's like what happened to Pete.
Well, watching a TV show is like watching a first draft of something because you can't go back.
Pretty much, yeah.
I write screenplays and, the first draft, I have 10 different plot lines that I'm like, oh, that's going nowhere. I'm going to take that out next time.
Right.
I'm setting up something that does not pay off here.
It's and it's funny. I feel like you get I see this a lot on the internet of like, the writers didn't plan this out. Like, they didn't plan this out. And it's like, it's so funny after like 10 years of this kind of like discourse, of this like post-Lost discourse.
Right.
Of like, are you not recognizing a pattern that's not how this works?
Well, it's not possible to plan out that far ahead for a TV show.
Right.
Because you're not getting paid to do that.
Right.
And that, to plan it out, if you want it to be a good plan,
that's a great point.
You have to put the time in. like you can have a broad idea of where you're headed, but that's going to change when you start pumping out episodes.
It's ultimately it's we're throwing a bunch of conflicts into a cauldron and
Right.
hoping like we make a good little stew and like we can scoop out bits and throw it into episodes. That's what a TV show is.
Especially at this time in the same time that Lost, this has been basically, I think this is the year when Lost premiered, which is we're doing 22 of these a season. You can't plan out up 22 episodes.
No.
You can do it now with 6 or 8 or whatever the fuck, you know.
Especially and especially in something like Lost, which it's funny, Emily and I watched the first season again. We meant to watch the rest and then we just didn't. We keep, like, oh, we should do the rest of that. But like, it's funny. It's, I've talked about this before, but its reputation as like this highly serialized show, it is still very soapy.
For sure.
With a lot of self-contained ish. There's usually a problem introduced in the episode that is wrapped up by the end of the episode to some capacity.
Well, it's half serial, half like anthology almost, with those flashbacks, because every episode that has at least in the first season, every week you have a different person's backstory, and that's like its whole thing.
Right. But like, because it's Lost and because we're watching this week to week, it's pre-streaming era, where everyone's just kind of like certainly watching them sequentially. There are people who've just heard this show is good and then like watched it in the middle of an episode. So like, you're the show and a bunch of weird things are happening on this island. So something weird has to happen on this island every single episode.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And 22 weird things a year is a lot of things.
Right. So the first season they threw out 22 weird things, and then it's like, okay, we are going to have to answer these questions. And every time they answered one, they created 3 more questions, and that's
right.
And ultimately at the end, the last season, they're like, most of the answers were like, well, it's magic. Yeah.
It's because that's how this works at the end of the day.
And that didn't bother me. I understand why it bothers some people, but like you couldn't have thought the explanation was going to be more satisfying than that. Really? What was it going to be that was going to satisfy you?
It's, I think there is this, it was more prevalent way back when, but there was this idea that George Lucas had planned out 9 Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
And like they were all ready to go. And then he decided, no, because this was what I was told.
Oh, no, it's what he said. Yeah.
It was like, oh, yeah, 4 was the most interesting place to start. Because like, oh, that was all background stuff. But like 4 is where, so you got to start at 4. And no.
No, that's not what happened. No.
Attack of the Clones was written shortly after Phantom Menace was completed.
Yes. Oh, and Attack of the Clones was like the most made up as he went along that it's been.
Yeah, right.
And that shows. Yeah, no, he retconned that story pretty quickly of the 9 movies. Well, first it was like, oh, I have 9 planned. And then it was like, I have 6 planned.
Right.
And then it was, the truth is...
Which, don't get me wrong, I'm sure in the shower he was sitting there of like, oh, and then I can do this, and then I can do this. And then that suddenly turned into, I have them all written already.
Right, exactly. I've seen
but that's not how storytelling works.
I've seen the notes he had for the prequels. It's like a couple pages of like basic ideas of what went down.
Right. It's funny how storytelling ultimately is not that different on this level than your parents kind of making up a bedtime story.
Right.
It's still just figuring it out.
I mean, have you read the summaries of the 30 other drafts of Star Wars he wrote before he got to the final one?
In film school, I think we read one of those drafts.
Yeah,
it's
that
not
was rough.
Good.
No. Well, that's before he had, friends rewrite the dialogue too. So it read like a prequel. Like
you get what happened with the prequels.
For sure, yeah. Yeah.
Any other thoughts on storytelling, television, and Star Wars?
No, but I have some porn thoughts. No, I'm just kidding.
Martha takes Clark back to the farm and up to his loft to try and jog his memory. She shows him a picture of Jonathan and says it's his father, but Clark just replies that Jonathan is dead to him.
I love that Martha dresses Clark apparently in the only black shirt that he owns.
Yes.
He's like, you know what? He's kind of different right now. I'm going to put him in something a little cooler than what he normally wears.
When she realizes that his behavior is probably due to Jor-El's influence, Martha grows upset and starts to scream and cry for her son to be returned. Annette O'Toole here, I'll say, doing some good work. I think it's very silly in the script, but I think Annette O'Toole is doing good work.
She yells a lot in this episode.
Yes.
There's a lot of yelling. She's got it dialed up. I think she's just trying to, she's doing heavy lifting.
Yes.
For the words. Yeah.
Yes. Lex is in his airplane returning from Egypt when the plane hits some turbulence and the statue breaks, revealing a mysterious stone. Suddenly, Clark hears an incredibly piercing sound in his head. He says that he is Kal-El of Krypton and it is time to fulfill his destiny. Martha grows upset and starts to scream and cry for her son to be returned. Kal-El says that Clark Kent is dead, and to Martha's shock, launches himself off the ground and flies into the sky. Boys?
No tights, lots of flights.
Like, your Goff and Millar, I believe are their names. Miller. This was a self-imposed rule that he's not going to fly. This was your thing. So if you have to like jump through the hoops that you're going to jump through in this episode of like, well,
it's like Trump's tax returns. Yeah. It's like,
he's Kal-El in this episode, so Kal-El can fly. Clark won't fly. How about you just get rid of the stupid rule?
Right, exactly. You will see Tom Welling fly many times in this show.
It's a fucking... and I understand, like, okay, we... if you just did it this one time and then went back to, like, oh, I don't know how I did that, that would be fine. If you hadn't made in every fucking interview, this your fucking thing.
Well, I do think they could have been like, that was for the first few seasons, but now he flies. Like from now on, just have Clark fly. But they don't. They try to have they're like, he can fly when we do a season premiere, and then
when we fucking really want that shot. Also, oh boy, that shot looks silly.
I thought it looked pretty good compared to a lot of other effects in this show.
It's I don't know how I feel about the well, okay, so you were watching it on DVD, which is probably standard definition.
True. Yes, true, yeah.
I had it on HD on Hulu, and boy, so they tried to do like digitally around him, it's like you can see Clark pushing the air essentially.
Okay.
Or creating like some sort of before as he like launches himself into the air. I don't know if that is the choice I would make if I maybe just would have had him fly.
They got to put
that's just me.
They got to put their stamp on it. The Matrix.
I guess so. But Kara flew last time, or in quotations, Kara flew last time, and it didn't look like that.
She just floated.
I guess that's true. Is that different? I guess it's different. Either way, it's silly. Lana and Jason Teague go to a church to do a tombstone rubbing of the crypt of the Countess Marguerite Isabelle Thoreau.
This is a high school art project, Brian? Is this?
It appears to be.
Okay.
That said, they get a little flirty in the church. It's fun.
Lana appears to have aged 10 years in 3 months in Paris. Just 3 months in Paris have made her a full-on adult.
Yeah. I mean, she is. She is an adult.
Right, that's true. That's a good point.
When Lana touches a symbol on the tomb, a great surge of bright energy flows through her body. The mark of transference appears on her lower back.
The painting gave her a tramp stamp.
Yes. That's and many 16-year-old girls would tell their parents it's the mark of transference.
And this is where we get Lana waking up in bed naked. But that is definitely not Kristen Crook. It is a body double naked. But this is what I'm talking about. The CW, man. Or no, the WB at this point. They're just like, I want Clark naked. I want Lex naked. I want Lana naked.
Nudity.
Give me all the nudity.
I want as much nudity as 8 p.m. will allow. Which, man, once again, I will put my foot down. I want some sex on my teen soap.
Yeah, no, I mean, is this the horniest episode of Smallville yet? This is up there. It's not hornier than the Heat Vision one, I guess.
Right. It's certainly more like
visually, it's like one of the steamier ones.
I would agree. I would agree with that. And that's what it should. That's what this show should be.
Absolutely.
Back at the Kent farm, Martha is trying to reach. Martha is trying to reach Virgil Swan over the phone. Christopher Reeve has, of course, died by this point.
Yes.
Lois arrives, having followed them home, and asks Martha about Clark and Chloe's relationship. She asks about Clark, but Martha makes the excuse that Clark is sleeping to hide the fact that he is no longer there. Martha states that she will have Clark contact Lois if he remembers anything. Lois explains that she thinks Clark might know something about Chloe's death. She also explains that she is trying to get in to speak to Lionel, but she is having trouble getting him to accept the visit, and that Lionel would otherwise be discharged in 2 weeks, and Chloe's murder would never be avenged. Martha warns her to stay away and tells her that getting involved with Lionel is dangerous. Lois says that she knows Martha used to work for Lionel and wants to know how she escaped unscathed. Martha tells her she didn't and finally gets Lois to leave. Good scene.
Sure. Yes. We get a spectacular Nietzsche line.
What was it again?
I can't remember the setup. The setup is something about Lois asks if Chloe and Clark ever dated or something, and
right.
Lois says, "Give me a nerd with glasses any day of the week over over the farm boy."
It's funny because
Yup. Oh, also, I think it's during the flying scene when the Clark is flying towards them, and it cuts to the pilots and
yes,
Lex's airplane. They see something on the radar, and one of them goes, "What is it? Bird? Plane?" That's not even an Nietzsche line. We're just quoting Superman, right?
Right. It's a premiere, baby. We got to get him in. We got to remind everybody what this show is. Yeah. There are times to be subtle, and the season premiere is not one of them.
No, absolutely not.
No. Meanwhile, Kal-El flies up to Lex's plane and rips off the door at 20,000 feet. As Lex and Dr. Hardin are tossed about in another cabin, Kal-El steps into the plane, reaches out his hand, and draws the stone through the cabin wall to him. As Lex scrambles up to look through the hole, Kal-El flies away. Martha's request to speak with Virgil Swan is finally answered, but by his emissary, Assistant Bridget Crosby, instead. Bridget Crosby, of course, is Margot Kidder.
Lois and Lois.
I literally, while reading that, it only just occurred to me. Oh, it's funny because
come on, Brian.
I was I knew it was a season premiere and a big cameo, and Christopher Reeve has passed away. And like, so what are we gonna do? It did not occur to me at all, the Lois and Lois thing.
It also implies, and they'll probably get to this in the wiki, that Crosby, played by Margot Kidder, and Virgil Swan, who was played by Christopher Reeve, had a relationship. I'm like,
Right.
great.
Right.
Or no. Mama K asks if they were together, and she says, in a different lifetime. Is that a reverse Nietzsche? Like, what is that? Like a sideways Nietzsche?
Multiverse.
Multiverse Nietzsche.
Smallville will get visited in the far, far future from the WB multiverse. So
we also will get another Superman in the show. Dean Cain.
Oh, right. Okay, so she tells her that Clark flew away, and Crosby realizes that he has completely embraced his Kryptonian destiny. She gives her black kryptonite, which will split Kal-El and Clark.
I don't like this. Kal-El is a different entity than Clark. I don't understand. He's like Dr. Jekyll or something.
A lot of shows did this. Angel and Buffy, by extension, were doing the same thing. Angel had a bad personality, but it was a different guy, essentially.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Like, I don't understand how that works with the mythology that we've learned so far of Superman and Clark Kent. It's like, they're just like, how do we write ourselves out of this?
Right.
Black kryptonite?
I believe anytime the wiki will start doing it, anytime Clark is on Red K, they'll refer to him as Cal.
Yeah.
Which
that makes sense though, because he's under the influence of a drug, essentially, right? So he's a different personality. But this is like, what is Kal-El? What is Kal-El? Reborn, but he's got like a whole different personality. It's like,
right.
Where did he get that personality from?
Space, Zach, keep up. Lex visits his father in jail, believing that he stole the stone from him. They throw insults back and forth. Lionel, of course, looks great.
Oh man, this is the fourth shirtless main character. We open this scene, Brian. Let me set the scene with Clark walks in to the other side of the cell, and you see Lionel in his cell. He's got his feet up on his bed. He's doing push-ups. Each hand is on a stack of books. And he is in a tank top. He looks fucking fantastic. He might be the best looking out of all four of the shirtless characters this episode. It's unbelievable.
Lionel tells him that he is chasing a fairy tale, even though he himself has been extensively searching for the stones by financing 6 expeditions over the last 2 years. Lex accuses him of poisoning his son and murdering Chloe. I have the hiccups.
It's okay. It's good podcasting.
That's great podcasting. Lionel says poisoning his son and murdering Chloe. Lionel says that those responsible for him being charged for murder will feel his wrath, but claims that Chloe's death was an accident.
So, great scene again. I mean, this is the next Lionel phase, which is Hannibal Lecter Lionel, where he's in jail.
Hell yeah.
Just fucking with people from jail, which is great. So good. So, back to Lionel's body real quick and how in great shape John Glover's. Do you think Glover, Rosenbaum, and Welling just worked out together like they were workout buddies?
I hope so.
Just like
I hope so.
At the gym, like one more.
That's what I hope happens.
There's a great little exchange here where Lex is saying that he's accusing Lionel of having poisoned him, and then Lionel's like denying it, and he's like, "You are my son," and Lex says, "God help me."
Oh, so good.
Yes, so good.
Kal-El goes to the cave and activates 3 symbols around the octagonal hole. It's an octagon, which opens the pathway to the inner chamber. He places the first stone on the table. Lana somehow ended up back at her place. She hears someone banging on the door. She goes to see who it is and finds out that it's her boyfriend, Jason. He asks her what happened, but she doesn't know how she ended up back at her apartment.
With a tramp stamp.
Yeah.
We've all been there. We've all been there.
Yep. On his way out of the cave, Clark encounters Martha. When she presses the black kryptonite into his chest, Clark and Kal-El split and begin to fight one another for control.
Shades of Back Baby here.
It's the back baby lives on.
I mean, it's literally like it's the bottom half of him is just one set of legs, like a normal human set of legs, and then it's like 2 torsos fighting each other like Siamese twins. It's a very silly effect, Brian.
It's a little, not as good. It's a little Agent Smith, like
Oh,
dodging the bullets, right?
Yeah, yes. Do you think the writers were like, is it really this is what we're doing? Like, it's come to this. This is the logical conclusion of what we've written so far. How do we
I wonder if they were
visualize?
okay with it on paper.
How do we visualize the 2 sides of Clark? I guess if that's what they are, fighting it out. How do we visualize that?
Ooh, not envious of that position. Okay, let's see. Martha throws the fight each other for control. Martha throws the black kryptonite to Clark, who stabs it into Kal-El, effectively combining them back. This time with Clark in control. Lucky, I guess. Simultaneously, Jonathan miraculously wakes up. Convenient. Lana is taking a shower. And once she steps out of the shower, we have a long shower scene here.
Oh man, talk about body double. So it's the classic like shot from the other side of the curtain where we just see the silhouette, and it is
very steamy, just silhouette in the shower,
doing all those steamy shower moves that everyone does in the shower. I guess.
Yep, a very sensual, lonely shower.
Right, when you're by yourself, you do all these sensual like rubbing. And like the dimensions of the body devil's body are very different than the dimensions of Kristen Cook's body. And that is not a criticism on either of them. It is a criticism on the match.
They just found a person. Just a different person.
Well, I mean, it's like the silhouette is like Jessica Rabbit or some shit. You know what I mean? Like it's, which is like, you and I are both on the record of Kristen Crook is gorgeous, but that is not her body type at all. That's not her build at all.
That feels like a W. Like I'm going back to the W. It was like
Jessica Rabbit.
Lana is taking a shower, and once she steps out of the shower and wraps a towel around and looks in the mirror to see the mark of transference mark on her lower back. Oh no. How did I get this?
I got a tramp stamp. So she didn't remember that. She says she didn't remember how she got in her bed. So right. Is she at this point thinking the painting gave me a tramp stamp, or is she thinking I had a crazy night? I don't know what the fuck happened. Someone put something in my drink.
What's the difference? Also, hey, Zach, does that count as memory loss?
Oh my gosh, yes, I did. I wouldn't even have thought of that. Abso-fucking-lutely. Yep. Memory loss. Ooh, 2 already.
Wow.
Love it.
Lois gets in to visit Lionel in jail by saying that she is Martha Kent. After some back and forth, Lois tells him that she knows that the safe house was no accident. As she leaves, Lois taunts Lionel with the question of whether he's being set up as he prepares to walk out of the hospital a free man.
This is a fun little scene.
Fun little scene.
Do you
Lois
think-
going hard.
Do you think actors on the show get nervous before scenes with John Glover, like more than
I
usual?
hope so.
Are they like, fuck, I got to bring my A game? He brings the
No,
best
you know
out.
what though? I bet John Glover helps bring it out, and I bet
Well,
especially like he's a theater guy. Like
He brings the best out of everyone. Like everyone's best scenes are when they're with Lionel. You know what I mean?
right.
He has a good line where she has her hand up on the bars, whatever, and he like goes, "You bite your nails, bad girl." Not in a creepy way, but in like a Lionel creepy way. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh God, I love Lionel so
he's already-
fucking much.
He's already the front runner for MVP of season 4.
I just who else would it be? Who else would it be?
I mean, you would expect some competition from somewhere, and it's nowhere to be seen yet. No one is even close. No one is even
And
close.
everyone is perfectly good for the show they're on.
Absolutely.
Just like John Glover's also fucking here.
Yeah. So there's a great moment in this scene where he justifies, I mean, she accuses him of killing Chloe. He denies it. And he's like, it's her fault she died. We made a deal. I held up my end of the deal. She didn't. That's what led to her death. She's responsible. It's just a great sociopathic Lionel reasoning justification. He's like,
Love that
I
bitch.
was wrong. I held up my end of the deal with this 16-year-old that I manipulated.
Oh, the best shit. Lois goes to Smallville Cemetery to pay her respects to Chloe, whose headstone reads, Chloe Sullivan, 1987 to 2004, beloved daughter. Just want to throw out there, headstones are expensive, and they can take sometimes like a year or two to actually get in place.
Well, who bought it? Her dad's dead.
Yeah, right.
The government pay for it?
It is not uncommon for that to like take a little while, but nope, we just got that up.
Lex knew a specialist in Metropolis. He probably,
I guess actually you're probably right.
yeah. Lex is like, you know what? It's my fault she died. I'm gonna pay for this.
You are actually probably right. Lois promises to find out who did this to Chloe. She is surprised when she sees Clark behind her. Clark offers to help find out what happened to Chloe and extends an invitation for Lois to stay at the Kent farm. Oh,
It's inviting girls over now, Clark. All right.
Clark. Lois gives him some time alone at the grave, and Clark x-rays Chloe's coffin and discovers it to be empty. He announces to Lois that Chloe is still alive.
What?
Dun, dun, dun.
Weird move by Clark to just blurt that out, because how is he going to be like,
Yeah, right.
It's a hunch.
I just,
I didn't.
I get those sometimes.
He's gonna do that. You know that at the beginning of the next episode, some bullshit like that.
You're right.
For sure.
And that was the. What did you think of the premiere overall, Zach?
I thought it was solid. Spared no expense. We got a lot of beautiful looking people shirtless. We got some great Lionel moments. All in all, definitely better than the season 3 premiere.
Yes, I'd agree.
I thought. And it's clear that this is something of a retooling. I don't know if it was mandated by the WB, but it is definitely a reaction to season 3. It seems like
I think the show needs I think the show needed a retooling.
Right. Yes, I think so too. Like in a way season 2 was not a retooling of season 1. Season 2 was like an expansion of season 1.
Right. Right.
And this is like we need to try something different. We need to change it up.
We got some new blood in here. It's
Right.
And you know what? I like all of the directions thus far.
They traded out Pete for Jensen Ackles and Lois Lane.
It's a pretty good trade.
It's a really good trade. Again, it's not Sam Jones III's fault.
Right.
It's as the characters were written, it was a good trade.
Featured music this episode. Man, we're really struggling on needle drops.
I think we're going to get more this season than we did last season, though.
I hope so. We got Better Days Will Come from Tahiti 80, and then we got some opera stuff. Boring.
I don't think any of this stuff is going to be making it to the end of season 4 wrap-up show. I don't think we're going to be talking about it.
I don't think so. No. I think that's a pretty safe bet. We got a lot of notes this time. This is the first and only season premiere in which the Luther Mansion is not seen. That's interesting. This is the first season premiere that does not feature Pete Ross. It will not be the last.
Does it say that?
No, it doesn't say.
Oh. No. Damn it! I was about to give props to the wiki.
Oh, this is interesting. During the original run of this episode, Allison Mack was not in the opening credits to give the illusion that Chloe Sullivan had died.
Oh, that's clever.
However, this was not kept for repeat broadcasts or DVD releases of the episode, as they used the official season 4 opening that was first used in Facade.
Oh, that's
great.
That's clever. I mean, I feel like there's no way that it wasn't in the press stuff, though, that she was coming back, right? That was just for
probably not.
That was for the casual viewer, probably.
That said, you kind of like it's kind of different from now, where like we constantly have like feeds and Twitter and like all these things dumping this stuff at us. You had to go looking for that information.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I think that like the people who are really into the show, like the people who would go to like Krypton's site or whatever, probably knew.
Right.
But like the casual viewer was like, oh shit, okay. She's dead.
Right. That's so fun. I assume they couldn't leave it that way. I assume there's a union thing. They couldn't leave it that way.
I mean, they had to get her permission or something.
Right.
Sure.
And it was just going to be just for the first broadcast. Yeah. Okay, this is the first episode that features black kryptonite. However, technically, it may have appeared in pilot when the meteors containing green kryptonite are heated upon Earth's out. Wiki. I'm sure Goff and Miller are sitting there like, okay, and this is where the black kryptonite appears so that we can pay that off in season 4. That's not how this works.
Technically, we saw it at the opening shots of season 1 when the meteor hit Earth's atmosphere, because you can see clearly black rock.
Here's another like, wiki. Buckle in for this one. Chloe's gravestone clearly lists her birth year as 1987. However, she turns 18 in Spell. I don't know how many episodes from that. That might be a couple weeks from now. Indicating that either the gravestone is a production error, or Spell actually takes place several weeks after its November 2004 air date in early 2005. Or perhaps those in charge of faking her death were unconcerned with accuracy.
I mean, I'm going to rule that one out. I'm going to rule that one out right now, because if you go to the trouble to fake someone's death to the point where you're manufacturing a tombstone, you're going to want to get that date right. You know what I mean?
I also remove yourself from the fiction. I love the idea of like production being like, oh no, they rushed this. So like they would get her date and not just no one cared.
Right. No, the actual answer is it's not a production error. It's we hadn't decided when her birthday was yet. And then we put a date on a tombstone. And then afterwards we came up with an episode where it was her birthday. And it didn't match up and no one gave a fuck.
It's what happened was the art department went, we got to put a date on this tombstone. And went, yeah. Okay.
Well,
this
by the way, Spell, the episode with her birthday, that's the witch episode.
Is that season 4?
Yeah, that's coming up. Well, not coming up. But
wow.
That's like first half of season 4.
Wow.
That's the better of the two outlandish. The other one is the vampire episode.
When you said witch episode, I was thinking of the vampire
Season
episode.
5 is the vampire episode, but the witch episode is a similar kind of deal, but it's much better.
Don't remember this one. I don't remember the witch episode. I remember the vampire episode.
Well, I'll tell you right now, it might involve all three of Lois, Chloe, and Lana becoming witches.
Great.
And it might be fucking fantastic.
Great. This episode further fleshes out the relationship among Clark's different personalities. There is Clark's normal personality, the result of his biology, experiences, and upbringing, and then there is Cal, or Clark when he is affected by red kryptonite. He is unconcerned for any repercussions of consequences of his actions and is incredibly uninhibited, wanting to share his powers with the world in a boastful way. Finally, as revealed in this episode, there is Kal-El, a militant permutation set on fulfilling the destiny that Jor-El formulated. He is very mechanical and has no concern for those around him, only for his mission. Do we know what this mission is?
No, I don't think so. And
they had said it was like world domination, but then they walked that one back like, no, that was just like a test.
That was a test to see if he was actually a piece of shit or not. Yeah.
Right.
So Clark just has like multiple personality disorder or something. Like he's got all these personalities buried. I don't know. I don't like it.
They're all very rock specific.
Yeah. It's color coded.
Let's see here. The idol that Lex finds in the Egyptian pyramid has kryptonite inscriptions behind, which translated say, "This is the first crystal of knowledge."
How do they translate it?
Is there a functioning Kryptonian language?
There must be. Unless it's on, we just put the DVD on subtitles. It says that. You know what I mean? It's just like
sure. In Smallville magazine number 34, the producers revealed that Lois Lane found a reprogrammed Clark Kent in Miller's Field. Interestingly, that's the same field where Jonathan and Martha Kent found baby Kal-El during the 1989 meteor shower.
Interesting, like it's a coincidence.
Yeah. Like human beings write this, right?
Like, who would have thought they accidentally, just by chance, would have had it be the same field?
Things usually happen for reasons in things that humans do.
Especially the Nietzsche line show that Smallville is.
Right. This episode marks the first time that Lionel and Lois share a scene together. Thanks for that one.
It marks the first time Lois shares a scene with anyone on the show.
This is the 6th time Clark has been naked on the show.
Oh, but not Tom Welling. Clark, baby Clark.
Right. The last 5 times were in Pilot, Lineage, Witness, Slumber, and Covenant. Okay, gonna rapid fire through the rest of these. Lois Lane is the 15th DC Comics character to be adapted into the series. We got a note here on the Nietzsche lines. We covered those. The scene where Clark fights Kal-El is similar to Superman 3, where Clark fights an evil Superman persona. In both cases, the evil person... Yeah. The evil personality has the S symbol on their chest, and also Clark wins the battle in both of those cases. Thanks, Wiki.
Would have been my guess. Weirdly enough, Clark wins the battle in both of those.
This is the only episode in which Lionel refers to Chloe by her given name while in his own body. However, he later refers to her as Chloe while in Clark's body in transference.
So he always says Miss Sullivan.
Got it.
By the way, the episode that they're referring to, Brian, is fucking amazing. Do you remember? It's a body swap episode with Tom Welling doing the Lionel stuff and Lionel and John Glover doing the Tom Welling stuff.
Oh, baby, I can't wait to see that.
Oh, it's coming up soon, and it is fucking fantastic.
Can't wait. And this is funny. This episode marks the 2nd time that Annette O'Toole and Margot Kidder have appeared on screen at the same time, the first time being in Superman 3.
Oh, I didn't know Margot Kidder was in Superman 3.
It appears to be just at the end.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's everything. There's a lot of stuff in here, but it's a lot of just kind of obvious stuff. Well, that's we're in it. We're in season 4 now.
I'm jacked. I'm already enjoying the tone.
Yes.
I'm already like, we're having fun. Let's have fun.
We're having a great time.
Yeah.
Let's see. This has been the Talon Mix. It's of course our Smallville recap podcast. Hey, we have a Discord. That's kind of the best place to like keep up on the show and like talk to us about Smallville or other things. There's a link in the description of this podcast. Come hang out. Come say hello. I think that's everything. Hey, Zach, do you have a question for the Smallville gods?
Yeah, is this season gonna fucking rock?
Have a good night, everybody. All right. Y'all ready for this? Dun 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 dun. Yeah.
Please put that in.
I will.